Max Verstappen's outstanding consistent performances in 2022 have earned him a lot of praise from all corners. Let's take a look at what F1 drivers in the 2022 Formula One season think about Max Verstappen. Formula One's longest season finally came to a conclusion at the glitzy Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, with Max Verstappen delivering a commanding closing performance. While 2022 was unable to match the previous year's thrilling title race, it still delivered plenty of action and excitement. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc started the 2022 season with the promise of a competitive race for the World Championship. However, as the season progressed, the defending world champion easily strolled clear of the competition. In Abu Dhabi, as in the majority of 2022, Verstappen easily pulled away from his competitors to earn a record-extending 15th victory of the season. Verstappen's margin of victory over Leclerc was a comfortable 8.7 seconds. Here are the thoughts of F1 drivers about Max's 2022 performance. Ocon and Verstappen were rivals during their Formula 3 days, but the two drivers took different routes to get to the top of the sport. They eventually clashed again in the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix, a clash that cost Verstappen victory. They have moved on from that ordeal long ago. The driver of the Alpine stated, "We get along fine now and have a lot of respect for each other." Ocon was not surprised by Verstappen's success because he expected him to do well. The 26-year-old Frenchman said, "He is simply a super talent. Max is always competitive everywhere. It's been like that for years. I've known about it since my childhood. Ever since karting, he dominated championships. Then he was fast in every car he was in. He therefore called his old rivals 2 world titles well-deserved." Ocon continued, "Last year I already thought that, and this year, he is putting in a top season. I am proud that a driver I grew up with is emerging like this. Max is a shining representative of my generation. He is one of the greats of this sport." Ocon's ultimate goal is to compete against Verstappen for a championship again in the future, but this time in the King class of motorsport. However, he is aware that in order to accomplish this, he will require the necessary materials. Nevertheless, he is confident that it will be achievable in the future and has high hopes that Alpine will be able to close the gap with Red Bull Racing in the years to come. After the first few races of the 2022 Formula One season, it appeared that Charles Leclerc would be the driver to beat. But after only 2 victories at the beginning of the season, Charles Leclerc would take his final victory at the Austrian Grand Prix, before Max Verstappen went on a run of wins that led to him clinching the championship at the Japanese Grand Prix. In the 2022 F1 season, one of the examples of on-track confrontations between Leclerc and Verstappen was the race at the Red Bull Ring. These on-track battles were similar to the ones that took place between the two drivers while they were competing in junior karting championships. Leclerc said, "Verstappen and I have more mature relationships since then. The mutual relationship before that, when we were still in karts and were 13, 14 years old, was different. Now it is very different. But I said before the relationship would be more tense if we were at the end of competing for points in the Formula One season, but that's how it goes. That's part of the sport." Despite having a history together, Leclerc is full of praise for his 25-year-old title challenger for attaining the dream they both had when they were younger. He said, "Of course, I have a lot of respect for Max. He's done very well, and I have a lot of respect for what he has achieved. When we drove in karts, we dreamed of Formula One together, and here we are now. He has the title I want to win, and I have a lot of respect for that." Two-time world champion Fernando Alonso was full of praise for Max Verstappen. While praising Verstappen and his team for their success this year, Alonso appeared to be taking a jab at Ferrari's inability to make the most of a very competitive car. He said, "It was not much of a fight, no? It's going to be an important season because we changed the regulations massively, so it's going to always be remembered for this new generation of cars. I think Ferrari had a very, very fast car, but Red Bull and Max, they were outstanding, so there was no fight. Maybe because Red Bull and Max Verstappen were better than the others, but they didn't have that superior car because I guess Ferrari's is the same or better. It's very well deserved, I think. As I said before, they were the best team and the best driver by far." Alonso lauded Verstappen's capacity to always be quick right off the bat when it comes to a race weekend. "I think you cannot teach that. I think it has to come from yourself. There are drivers that need more time. They need to study more data. They need all of the Friday to analyze and compare with the teammate and slowly make little steps until they're 100% ready for qualifiers. And there are others that are 100% in FP1. So I think Max is one of those, and always been like that, from go-karts to now, so it should be no surprise for anyone." Carlos Sainz and Verstappen were teammates at Toro Rosso back in 2014, and the relationship seemed to be rather hostile between the pair at times. But that didn't stop Carlos Sainz Jr. from lavishing praises on Max Verstappen. According to Sainz, his old teammate Verstappen has performed admirably during the championship defense and has committed very few mistakes. The Ferrari driver said, "I think he's had a very strong season. He's done very few mistakes. Whenever he made mistakes, like in Spain, he spun in the same place as me. In Hungary, he recovered from the mistakes and went on to win. I think this is the biggest difference. Even in the days that he's had maybe a bit of an off, he still managed managed to go and win. As a result of Verstappen's car issues in the 2 of the first 3 races, Leclerc was able to draw ahead of him in the championship standings by 46 points. This caused Verstappen's title defense to get off to a rocky start. However, the Red Bull driver racked up win after win over the course of the subsequent rounds, while Ferrari had an increasing amount of difficulty. Sainz said since the first 3 races, they've also been super reliable. And you add up all those things, and he's having an incredible season, and I think he deserves it. Him as a driver, I think he's also doing a particularly strong job. Red Bull made an unusual step outside their driver pool when they decided to drop Alex Albon into the reserve and development driver role for the 2021 season. As a result of this decision, Perez became teammates with Max Verstappen since the 2021 season began. The Mexican race car driver has proven to be a good recruit for Red Bull and is expected to remain with the team for at least the next 2 racing seasons. And it appears he is very much enjoying working with Verstappen, given how much he rates the current world champion. Perez said Max is good. He is a very complete driver. I think he is without a doubt one of the very best in Formula 1, if not the best, because of everything, because of how he has been educated from the beginning. He has skills that no other driver in Formula 1 has, the ability to be at the limit from practice 1 to the end, no other driver in Formula 1 has, without a doubt. The special thing about Max is the ease of going to the limit. Max goes to the limit from the first lap. Every change he makes to the car is important, and it's not that he changes his conditioning style, he always goes to the limit. The difference is always a corner, a level that demands a lot as a driver. Perez also believes that he and Verstappen are very closely matched to each other, and that the difference between them at any given Grand Prix weekend comes down to a single turn in particular. Perez said, "This year we were already very comparable. The difference was always a corner that he or I did better." What are your thoughts on Max Verstappen's performance in the 2022 season? Let us know in the comment section below.